what does it mean to release an emotion or a memory? And also, how do we forgive in order to assist in releasing the emotion or the memory? If any of those statements have made you feel a little bit anxious or a little bit uneasy, then you probably need to watch this video and hear what we have to talk about. So my name is Linda, and I am the owner of Love Song Reiki. I offer Reiki and tuning fork services in my practice to help others heal energetically. So what I want to talk about today is releasing energies, traumas, stress from the past that are actually influencing your now moment, even though you may not recognize it. But first of all, before I got started, I felt compelled to pull a card from the Christ Consciousness Oracle deck by Amanda Ellis. And I just asked if it had a message for today, and couldn't have had a more perfect card. So if you look at it, it's card number 36, and the wording says, tethered and caged, break free. If you notice, there's a person sitting on that bench. They're looking down, they're looking at their chains, they're only paying attention to the chains and to the sadness and grief they feel. When above them is light that's flowing in the darkness, there's always light. We wouldn't know light if we didn't know dark. But also, if you notice, beside them on the bench is a little key, the key to freedom. If they simply looked up from whatever they're feeling, from their sadness, from their awareness of being caged, if they looked up and looked around and saw the light, in the light is the key for really their own release. So as humans, we hold the key to our own release as well. What do I mean by that? Well, let's get started. Okay, let's first start with human anatomy. Okay, so every human being, and even every little biophoton in the universe, is surrounded by an energetic field, and it's called a toroid. It looks kind of like an apple shape. And for humans, what I have found with studying tuning forks is that our echoes of memories, our memories and our emotions actually can exist in our energy field that extends 5.5 feet to 6 feet out from our body. And so 5.5 to 6 feet out is our gestational period when we're in the womb. And as we get closer to our bodies, we're into more present time. But we also hold energy and emotions in our body. If you've ever heard the term emotional pain body, that's what it's referring to. If you have emotions and stresses and traumas and little energetic knots that you haven't released and they're being held in your body, you can get aches and pains from that, and you can even cause disease. Yes, dis-ease is disease, and it's oftentimes caused by incoherent vibrations in your body. So how do we release these incoherent vibrations? How do we release the knots that have happened? Whenever you have a traumatic event in your life, humans go like this, and we contract and we hold our body in, and that creates these little energetic knots. We have memories of things that happened in our lives that we just can't seem to let go of, right? And maybe there are things that happened to you that you don't even remember, but the energy of that event is still hanging out somewhere in your energy field or in your body. And those emotions, those memories that are hanging out in your subconscious, you don't even realize that they are impacting every single thing you do or don't do in your life. They're holding you back sometimes from living your most free and joyful, loving and compassionate life. So the ego, some people think ego as, oh, I'm this big old blah, 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 blah guy, and I can do this and I can do that. No, that's not really ego. Ego is more about your subconscious. It's about those little things that linger back here in the back of your mind that hold you back. So say as a youth, as a child, you were abused, you were abandoned. There was a time when you didn't feel safe. And maybe as you move through life, you're like, oh yeah, I'm better now. I feel all good. But there are still ways that you're holding yourself back and you don't even realize it. What we have found is that we can release those emotions through energy work and just through awareness of the emotions. So I had a client say to me this week, Linda, when you say release an emotion, what does that really mean? Well, what it means is you live your life in a state of awareness, paying attention to the emotions and the thoughts that come up in your mind when you're getting ready to do something, or when you've been through a healing of some kind, when you've been with a practitioner and a memory or an emotion has come up. What you are doing is you're being aware, okay, this memory came up for a reason. Why did it come up? And oftentimes a memory or an emotion comes up for two reasons. One, it's the ego subconscious bringing up the emotion, the memory, to hold you back from moving forward. If it can hold you back, then it holds you safe in that by not experiencing something new, something unknown that may hurt you, you're safer. Well, that's not really the case. Holding you back is actually injuring you because it's not allowing you to experience the fullness of who you are. The other reason that a memory or an emotion comes up is because it's ready to be healed. So you're like, well, if you came up to be healed, how do I do that? What does that mean? Well, what that means is releasing it. And what releasing means is, for me at least, it's acknowledging the emotion. Go, okay, I recognize that right now I am feeling fear. I may understand what event caused that fear. I may not know why I'm feeling that fear at this moment, but you're aware enough that you're saying, oh, I'm feeling fear right now. You know what? I don't need to feel that fear anymore because I'm here now. I'm protecting myself. I'm in charge of myself. I'm free to move forward in this life, and this fear is holding me back. Therefore, I don't need this fear anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I see you, fear. And thank you for the lessons that you've taught me, because everything you've ever experienced in your life has taught you some lesson, whether you understand on a conscious level what it is or not. So you're going to thank that emotion, that memory, for whatever lesson it taught you. And then you're going to send it away with love and compassion. So, all right, I recognize that I am feeling fear because when I was age 7, I was abused. I feel abandoned because there was no one there to protect me. So I'm an adult now. I no longer need to live in that memory, in that emotion. I am now here for myself. I'm here to hold myself up. And if you're lucky, you have friends and family around you who can also prop you up. But if you don't, you're here for yourself. You love yourself enough that you recognize, I am here for myself. I love myself enough. And I no longer need this emotion. Therefore, thank you for the lessons you've taught me. And you're now free to go with love and compassion, not with judgment, not with anger, because if you're holding judgment and anger, you're still holding those energetic knots in your body, from the knots that happened from the dense energy that were caused when you were contracting during the initial things that caused the emotions in your body. So again, you're being aware. You're acknowledging that you're having this feeling. You're thanking that emotion or that memory for what it has taught you. And then with love and compassion in your heart, you are allowing it to be released. And if that doesn't feel like enough to you, you can even use your hands or implements like a selenite wand in a knife-like fashion while you're offering it for release, and you can be imagining or intending to cut that energy away from your body and sending it out for freedom of movement so that you can move forward in your life freely. Okay? So once you have done that, then you may find out that you need to forgive yourself or the people, person, event that caused the energetic knot, that caused the emotion that feels dense to you. I don't use the term negative emotion because negative means it wasn't worthwhile. The reality is we only have energy, just is. So we have lighter energy and we have denser energy, and things that cause us to contract create dense energetic knots. So it's not free flowing, it's not light. So the things that have caused this denser energy to hang out in our body, the people, the events, we may need to forgive. So forgiveness is the difficult part. Yeah, because we're human. And here's what I need to point out to you. Unless you're an ascended master who has never hurt or injured anyone or anything in your entire life, then if you're that, then you don't need to listen to this message. But if you're not an ascended master, then maybe you need to hear this message about forgiveness. I'm 58 now. When I was 50, I finally learned about truly forgiving people from a space of love and compassion. And what do I mean by that? I don't mean that you're forgiving the act, that you're saying, oh, that act didn't matter. What I'm saying is, okay, that act happened. What did you learn from it? And how do you forgive the soul, the spirit of the person who did that? Every person has come into this life with a particular path of what they're supposed to learn and actually what they're supposed to do in order to help themselves learn and others learn. Creator, God, all that is, the universal energy, learns about emotion by experiencing every permutation of emotion through everything that is. So through experiencing our lives, we are also assisting God, Creator, in understanding all that is and all of the emotions and all of the energies that we create from those emotions. So I'm not going to call those emotions bad. I'm just going to call them maybe dense. And then how do we forgive them? So to forgive the soul, I understand that we've had lives in past lives and we're going to have future lives. If I was an abused child in this life, then maybe in a past life I was the abuser. So now I had to learn what it was like on the other end of that. Or maybe in a future life I'm going to be an abuser. So the spirit has these lessons to learn, and they're not doing it out of, the spirit itself is not doing these acts out of anger. What they're doing it as is from a space of learning. And that's a difficult lesson for people to hear. But that's truly what I believe. So what I have chosen to do is see the spirit and say, okay, with love and compassion, I understand that you had something in this life you needed to learn. I had something in this life I needed to learn. I don't appreciate the act, but I'm able to release the energy around the emotion through the constant work of releasing. And I'm also able to forgive your spirit and to tell your spirit with love and compassion that you're free. And that way I'm no longer holding on to anger for that person. I'm no longer holding on to that dense energy. I'm no longer allowing that to have power over me because I've released it. Forgiveness is releasing just as much as sending away the energies of the emotions are with love and compassion. So also remember that this isn't a one-time deal. If you're 58 and you've had abuse as a youth, then it's not going to be a one-time deal necessarily where it's just automatically released. There are layers upon layers upon layers. So you may have to repeatedly release these emotions and energies that come up. But over time, you will notice that it lessens the energies around it. You're less angry, you're less sad, you're less depressed. The story isn't as severe in your mind anymore. You're able to just feel more calm and peace and compassion little by little. And eventually you will find that when the memory comes up, you're able to communicate about it, talk about it, think about it in your mind without feeling the contraction. So healing through releasing and forgiving. So I hope that this has helped you in any small way. If you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I know that this is not easy work, but it is part of what we're here for as human beings, is to learn these lessons, and so that we can move on from here and be in a space of love, peace, joy, and compassion. Bye for now.